Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank the gentleman for yielding. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to ask my House colleagues to stop and think for a moment and to oppose not only the rule but the underlying bill. It is extreme, it is anti-immigrant, and it's really not about sanctuary cities. In fact, this flawed legislation actually second-guesses the decisions that are made by local police chiefs and sheriffs around the country on how best to police their communities and ensure public and ensure the kind of cooperation that they need in order for law enforcement to work properly. As the founder and former executive director of the National Network to End Domestic Violence, representing domestic violence organizations and coalitions around the country, I'm deeply concerned that this legislation will have a negative effect on the cooperation that is necessary between law enforcement and very isolated victims of domestic and sexual violence. And furthermore, it would strip the bipartisan provisions that passed in the Violence Against Women Act when we just reauthorized it. Specifically, H.R. 3009 negatively amends Section 241I of the Immigration and Nationality Act by doing the following: undermining the spirit and protections of VAWA and effectively pushing immigrant survivors and their children, many of whom are likely U.S. citizens, deeper and deeper into the shadows of danger. It undermines the policies that local communities have determined are appropriate for their localities to ensure that victims of crime come forward without fear of retribution. It allows violent crimes to go uninvestigated, and it leaves victims without redress because of reductions in funding. This bill would have damaging ramifications for families across the nation and in my home state of Maryland. I have here and ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a letter from the National Task Force to End Sexual and Domestic Violence Against Women, representing coalitions, organizations, shelters and services and programs in every single state in this country, and I'd ask unanimous consent to enter their letter into record.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to just quote from this letter. It says, "Fear of deportation also strengthens the ability of abusers and traffickers to silence and trap their victims. Not only are the individual victims harmed, but their law enforcement leads many to abstain from reporting violent perpetrators or coming forward, and as a result, dangerous criminals are not identified and go unpunished." Surely, Mr. Speaker, this is not what we need to do. We need to ensure the continued protections of domestic violence victims all across this country, no matter who they are and no matter where they are, and to know that law enforcement will be there to protect them and their children. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield.